And since this is new, we're going to start off with a few notes, a few announcements, which I hope will help us stay healthy, enjoying our time together. Those of you on Zoom, you can mute yourself, or Eric, who is helping us with tech support, will go ahead and mute you now. You'll be back on for coffee hour. Folks who are joining us in person, good news or bad news first? All right, bad news first. We do, as a congregation, have an agreement that we are a mask-wearing congregation at this moment, so you do have to keep your masks on. And I know that this is like a sweaty kind of thing. If you are sitting down in your family groups and you want to take your mask off and drink some water, eat a little snack, do what you need to feel comfortable, that is fine. Just have your mask on when you're up and moving about, where you might be interacting with other people. It's kind of airline style. And if you need to use the restroom, do put your mask on before you enter the building. We're really trying to minimize aerosols there. Good news, though, you can drink as much coffee in the sanctuary as you want, because we are outside. You can have drinks, you can have food. If you spill something, the groundhog will light it on Monday. So go for it. Do your snacking. That's the good news. We have 3 bathrooms available. We are not concerned with your gender. We are concerned about aerosols. So if you go to the bathroom as a family unit, if you could all use one bathroom for that family group so that we can have up to 3 sets of people, that'll maximize our ability to offer restroom use. And then, folks on Zoom, you will be able to watch and see how our live setup works in terms of the tech for Zoom. Let us know that at the end. We're going to try and improve things and make this multi-platform accessible long term. So do let us know. And now, I'm going to invite you to gather yourselves, open up your order of service, pull out that insert in the center, and sing along with our prelude hymn, which is Gather the Spirit. The words are in the chat bar. If you're on Zoom, Eric will be adding those. And for those of you here, the insert of your order of service.
summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in faith, gather in sympathy, now and then, gather in hope, passion and strength, gather to celebrate once again.
Welcome again. I'm Nonna Randall, a member of the worship team today, and I am so happy to be here with you. On behalf of the entire congregation, thank you for being here in person, on Zoom, or via YouTube. It has been a year of the unexpected, but our constant has been community, and it is good to gather once more. If you are joining us for the first time, we welcome you. Please fill out a blue visitor sheet at the welcome table in the front before you go so that we can make sure you get a personal welcome and get added to our mailing list for our weekly newsletter. If you're online, send an email to office@firstuu-indianapa.org or minister@firstuu-indianapa.org, and we'll make that happen just the same. On Zoom, you'll see the chat button just below the video screen, and you can use that feature for our greetings, chalice lighting ritual, and for joys and concerns during those parts of the service. The First Unitarian Universalist Church of Indiana, Pennsylvania, is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Self-Governing Congregations, united in a web of mutuality that creates our denomination. We have no creed or doctrine, but teach that all individuals have the right and the responsibility to discern and follow their own spiritual paths. We come together to support and assist each other on our journeys and to build our beloved community together. I invite you to stay after the service to greet one another and rejoice in our mutual presence. We will open up the microphones on Zoom for coffee hour, and folks here in person, you will be welcome to come up and say hello at the side table to those joining us electronically at that time. We have special announcements today. If you brought a flower or bouquet for flowery communion and did not drop it off at the table on your way in, please go ahead and do that, or just raise your hand and someone will come get that flower from you at this time. Thank you. For our children's religious exploration, Penny Vick needs a registration form and liability release from all those whose children are planning to attend Summer RE. Our summer program is Conserve and Connect and features outdoor gardening and cycles of life from seed to table. Join us to learn and teach. Let Penny Vick raise your hand? There she is. Let Penny Vick know if you can help out this summer. She'll be available after the worship service. Best laid plans.
We tried. It looked really good for 5 minutes.
If you would like to be part of the shared Pittsburgh Pulpit Flower Communion video, you'll need to record and upload a 7-second video by May 31st. Check the Zoom chat for a link to instructions, or come up front with your flower after worship, and Reverend Elizabeth will help you make your video if you'd like. We need help putting away chairs after the service, so feel welcome to take initiative on that. Also, please sign up at the welcome table before you leave if you can help with setup in the coming weeks. It's going to be a big lift for a few people, or a little one with many hands this summer. So, please help us co-create community space in this way. And finally, we are beginning to build a search team for our upcoming ministerial search. Reverend Elizabeth is with us on contract for 1 more year, and we need a search team who will work with us all to decide as a community what kind of ministry we want next and find a minister who fits. A board member will be contacting you, members and friends, in the coming weeks to talk about our needs for a search team that fully represents the trust of the community for this important task of discernment and communication with the congregation. Do take time to talk with them. Now, I invite you to take a breath and settle yourself into a spirit of worship.
Our opening words come from Lisa Doge. No hothouse flowers these, bred for perfection and dyed and trimmed, arranged to order, clothed in ribbons and bows. Not these. No, these are hardy, raw, and wild. Grown under the sky, they've weathered the wind and the rain and the heat. These drew nutrients from the neighborhood's soil and energy from the sun. These survived pests and disease. These grew where they were planted by loving hands, or the whim of birds, or the caprice of the breeze. These have petals washed by dew, glowing with the colors of the hills, the sea, the prairies, or the rocks. Their delicate perfume carries in it the fragrance of earth. No, not perfect, these, only holy, a blessing to the eye and the heart and the soul. And now, our chalice lighting.
Where's the lighter?
Oh, it should be
Oh, I see it. I see it. Thank you. Let us light our chalice flame. On Zoom, you may type "the flame is lit" and say where you are joining us from in the chat bar. Our chalice lighting words will be in your chat bar. We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is the church of open minds, of loving hearts, and of helping hands. Here we gather to celebrate in love and learn to care for the world. This worked yet this morning. Oops. At this time, we invite you to rest in the music as our flowers come forward. We will then greet the flowers and one another in song with hymn number 346, "Come Sing a Song with Me."
Oh, I love this song.
Reverend Mount reminds me to ask you to please rise to sing together. The words are in the white insert in your bulletin. Come sing a song with me, 346.
Come sing a song with me.
All right, and Penny Vick is going to share with us our time for all ages.
Oh. Do I wear my mask or not? Okay, if I can get all the children and youth to come to the front and spread out, spaced appropriately. I'm not coming out. I'm just going to stay here. It's easier.
All right.
So if you all will just come and sit like we used to do. It's been a long time. Just spread out a little bit. Spread out. Oh my goodness, it's so good to see all your faces. Okay, so many of you have heard this story that I'm about to tell. It will be very familiar. Okay, so the month of May's theme for our religious exploration in our Zoom gathering, which several of you have been joining all summer, all year, not all summer, we're about to start summer, the theme was a people of story. The story I'm about to tell us is one of our UU stories. It is part of our larger UU history, but we at First UU have our own stories and memories of this ritual. As we have learned, stories remind us of who we are and what we value. We will likely remember today reuniting after over a year, coming together and celebrating in this beautiful UU ritual. It will become part of our First UU story. And I'm gonna cry, sorry. Okay, the story is the flower ceremony, a plain and simple beauty. In the city of Prague, in the land of Czechoslovakia, in the year 1923, there was a church. But the building did not look much like a church. It had no bells, no spires, no stained glass windows. It had no organ to make beautiful music or even a piano. It had no carvings of wood, statues, or stones, not even a chalice. It had no flowers, too. The church did have something. It had 4 walls and a ceiling. It had a door and a few windows. It had some wooden chairs, but that was all, plain and simple. Except the church also had people who came to it every Sunday. It had a minister, and his name was Norbert Chopin. Norbert Chopin. He had been the minister at the plain and simple church for 2 years. Every Sunday, Minister Chopin went to church, and he spoke to the people while they listened, sitting quietly and still in those wooden chairs. When he was done speaking, the people talked a little bit among themselves, and then they went home, kind of like our social hour, right? When he was done, and that was all. So they had social hour, and that was all. There was no music, there was no candles, there wasn't any delicious food afterwards, not even coffee or donuts, how we usually have in normal times. Springtime came to the city of Prague, and Norbert Chopin went out for a stroll. The rains had come, birds were singing, and flowers were blooming all over the land. The world was beautiful. Then an idea came to him, simple and clear, plain as day. The next Sunday, he asked all the people in the church to bring a flower, or a budding branch, or even a twig. Each person was to bring one. What kind, they asked. What color, what size? You choose, he said. Each of you choose what you like. And so on the next Sunday, which was the first day of summer, the people came with flowers of all different colors, sizes, and kinds. There were yellow daisies and red roses. There were white lilies and blue asters, dark-eyed pansies and light green leaves. Pink and purple, orange and gold, there were all the colors and more. Flowers filled all the vases, and the church wasn't so plain and simple anymore. Mr. Chopin spoke to the people while they listened, sitting quiet and still in those hard wooden chairs. These flowers are like ourselves, he said, different colors, different shapes, different sizes, each needing different kinds of care, but each beautiful, each important and special in its own way. When he was done speaking, the people talked a little bit more among themselves. Then they each chose a different flower from the vase and before they went home. And that was all. And it was beautiful, plain, and simple as the day. And that is the ritual that we are doing today, what our church calls Flower Communion, 98 years later. What has become a UU ritual and tradition in our congregation, just like the flowers of Chopin's church. We are different colors, different shapes, different sizes, each needing different kinds of care, but each beautiful, each important and special in our own way. But today seems a little bit more special because it has been a while since all of us flowers have been together in community. And just like the beautiful altar we have created, it is just as beautiful to look out and see all of us together. You may go back to your seat.
We now invite you to pass the sign of peace with one another, and especially to anyone whom you haven't met before or haven't seen recently. On Zoom, you may type a blessing in the chat bar for one another. I'm sorry? Oh, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Peace to you, Matt.
Also get the water.
Hello. Sorry?
Can I get a drink from inside?
Oh, yeah, go for it. If you'll grab a glass and then just, you can use any of the bathroom sinks. We're trying to keep people out of the kitchen. But. All right. Well, I suspect that we could make the passing of the peace last for the rest of our service because you all are wonderful and you haven't seen each other in quite a while. However, we are going to ask that you return to your seats. And we will go on with our service.
Binder out of your room.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
no worries. So, our UU moment is about Norbert and Maya Chopin, who, as you heard in the children's story, founded and began our flower communion. There's quite a bit more to their story. Norbert Chopin came from Czechoslovakia, but he actually encountered Unitarian Universalism, or Unitarianism at the time, in the United States. And after practicing here for a couple of years, he and Maya returned to Czechoslovakia to found their church. That church, that tiny church with the 4 walls and the flower communion, grew steadily, significantly. until it was a church of over 2,000 members.
Wow.
Maya returned to the United States, but Norbert stayed and was arrested in 1941 by the Gestapo. Norbert Chopin died in Austria, poisoned by gas, in 1942. But this idea that was so dangerous that it caused the Nazis to murder him in a concentration camp was the idea that diversity is glorious and splendid and sacred. And we, to this day, continue to celebrate that ideal, that each one of us is beautiful, that each one of us is holy and sacred. And that is why we gather in community, like a beautiful bouquet of flowers. So in that spirit, I invite you to open your order of service, and in the front, find our 7 UU principles, and we will read them together. If you are on Zoom, they should be in your Zoom chat, and Eric can help you with that. Unitarian Universalists Covenant: to honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person, practice justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, accept one another, and encourage spiritual growth, support the freedom to search for what is true and right in life, ensure that all have a vote about matters that concern them, work for a peaceful, fair, and free world, and care for planet Earth, the home we share with all living things. And I'm realizing I have the children's principles in mine and you have the adult principles in yours. So you get extra words. And thank you for bearing with me in that. I now invite you to join in singing our hymn. You can rise and join us. It is 1028, The Fire of Commitment.
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirit into faith set free from fear. The fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze. justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
On the right. There.
Okay,
That one and
just this one.
it has 2 lines at the end there.
Daddy,
These are our centering words. Let us give thanks for a bouquet of people. We give thanks for children. Like tulips and iris, they multiply around us, making the world ever more filled with color, beauty, and new life. May we bless them as they replant themselves ever farther from us, knowing that they need their own space to grow into. We give thanks for generous friends, as constant in bloom as echinacea, and whose gifts lift up our body and spirit. We give thanks for feisty friends, as indomitable as geraniums, and for tenuous friends who, like bittersweet and ivy, hold on and never let go, and can never be gotten rid of. For crotchety friends, as prickly as rose bushes, their beauty is secret that is only discovered through careful gardening. For surprising friends, who at first glance seem dour and then blossom into joy as quickly as forsythias. For funny friends, silly as snapdragons, and serious friends, complex as chrysanthemums. For comfortable friends, their gentle presence as soothing as the sweet smell of lilacs. For stormy weather friends, who stand by us in hard times, like lily of the valley that cannot be deterred by shade or shadow. For old friends, nodding like sunflowers in the evening time, and young friends coming on fast as flocks. For friends as unpretentious as dogwood, as persistent as Paxandria, as steadfast as azalea, and who, like snowdrops, can be counted on to see you through the winter and remind you that spring always comes. For loving friends who wind around us like wisteria and embrace us, despite our blights, wilts, and witherings. And finally, for forget-me-not friends, gone but never forgotten. Their beauty lives on in our memories and hearts. For this bouquet of friends, of people who brighten our lives, each in their own way, we give thanks.
We now come to the time in our worship where we share in community all the joys and sorrows, the concerns and gratitudes of our lives, that our joys may be multiplied and our burdens lessened by sharing. We begin with a time of silence, during which you are invited to write on a card or type in the chat bar if you would like to share a joy or sorrow, concern or accomplishment in your life. Please place your card in the basket as the usher goes by for inclusion in our pastoral prayer. I forgot to bring the basket. I'm sorry.
We come now to that time in our worship service, which we set aside each Sunday. We set aside this moment to share our joys and our sorrows, all the mixed blessings of our lives. So let us join hearts and minds together in the spirit of prayer. Spirit of life and love for all that we are. Let us be grateful. Let us join together in community and in gratitude for being here with the sun, the breeze, the blessings of community, and that formless something that inspired religious feeling back before time. Let us be grateful for new ways of being together. And let us hold in care all those in need of peace and of our prayers in Burma, where we hold deep concern for those connected to us through friends and family, and through our knowledge that we need a better world, a world in which safety is possible for all people. Let us hold both gratitude and sadness, for there is a ceasefire in Gaza, and yet lives have been lost, and there is ongoing oppression, and it is a hard time for so many people, for Palestinians suffering, for Israelis wanting peace and unrepresented by a government that is funded not by those who would hope for a better world, but those who would like to find safety in the restriction of others. For all of this, which is so at odds with our Unitarian Universalist values, let us hold our concern and let it inspire our courage to do what we can for peace. And let us hold in our thoughts and prayers Ezra Wolfe. Ezra has written that her daughter was yelled at by her van driver. And Mel, her mother, is in the process of creating a response and a petition. And so we ask that there be a better response and that harm not continue. And Lori sends love to my UU family and says she is so glad to be back and has missed all of you. I think that pretty well sums up our feelings, for we are grateful to be in community again, able to be close to one another. So for all the blessings of our lives, the beauty of the earth, the ever-changing seasons, may we be glad, and may we find comfort and courage and strength in this community to bring us peace and heal our hearts again and again. Amen, and blessed be.
At the First UU Church of Indiana, we share the plate by giving a portion of every week's donations to an organization outside of the church. This is part of our congregation's mission to promote compassionate and responsible thought and action in the world by giving back to the community around us every week. So when we give this morning, know that you are making an impact not only for this congregation, but also in the wider community through our shared giving. This month, our Share the Plate recipient is the Chevy Chase Center, which empowers the disadvantaged population of Indiana County with love, nutrition, education, and involvement, providing healthy meals, programs for youth, and much more for those in need. In addition to giving generously today, the Community Center is always looking for volunteers for a variety of positions, most simply requiring time and enthusiasm for helping others. Areas of general help are often needed for basic daily operations, i.e. unpacking food and setup and tear down, kitchen prep, building care, etc. And some require specific skills. Your assistance is welcome, as well as your monetary donations. Please give as you are able to the work of this church, within and beyond our walls, as we share in singing our offertory hymn.
too, let us hold gratitude for these offerings of our shared community. And now I'm sure you all are going, it is 11:30 and we still have a sermon to sit through. I promise you, it's a homily. It's going to be 5 to 7 minutes. Because what we are here for has been said already in the beauty of the flowers, in the gathering of our community. Unitarian Universalists have always been a people. From the Unitarians, people who believe that human beings as part of nature are beautiful, are good, are able to become better by gathering and choosing their behavior. Universalists believe that there is no need to fear, only to reflect the beauty of what is already in us all, the love that holds us. Whatever tradition you are coming from, whatever words and scriptures uphold and uplift you, be they pagan, Christian, humanist, Buddhist, Hindu, Muslim, wherever you find your truth and your wisdom, be it secular, sci-fi, romance novels, or poetry, what you find that leads you toward beauty and truth and peace, let it be good enough. Because what is important, what we hold at the core of all in our Unitarian Universalist principles, no matter how much we may be tempted to wordsmith, is not the words. It's not truly even the values, but it is the people. It is the knowledge that the formation of community, the process itself, the gathering of a bouquet, that is the meditation, that is the sacredness of life, that is what makes holy work out of our everyday being. And so, thank you for being here today, for trusting in a community that survives and thrives, even when sorely tested by a year that has been unlike any other in our memories. As thanks, as gratitude, I do hope that after the service, you will take home one or a couple of flowers to remind you in the coming week of the beauty, the diversity, all the love that you find here. There is as well a box of soap on your chairs, because in this week apart, I have been thinking of you all and dreaming of a day that we would be back together. And way back around Christmas time, I went, we have been hygiene focused for a whole year, and I bet everybody's running a little low. So now you have some beautiful Unitarian Universalist chalice soaps. Feel welcome to put them around when you are now able to invite people to your houses if you're fully vaccinated. You can do that, and you can let them see your beautiful church, so your church pride. So do enjoy. And once again, thank you. You are the reason this community exists. You and all your beauty. You are the community. Blessed be.
Our closing words are flowers sent forth by Elizabeth Wolfe. A bouquet of flowers once gathered stays together unto death. We are no fragile flowers, but a strong community, resilient through the years, perennial, growing, rooted. We gather and part each year, each week, at times blooming, at times wilted and in need of warmth or watering. May we part today, knowing some part of our spirits remain soulfully rooted until we find ourselves here again, to grow, to replenish, to beautify the space. The church which comes alive when we are gathered, be it on lawn, on Zoom, in a sanctuary. Let us always continue to grow wherever we are planted. Please join me now in singing our closing hymn, We Won't Home.
Please rise as we sing.
was born upon the fair bumps. Never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Well, let it be so. As we go forth this week, may we be gladdened and strengthened by the time we have spent together. May we renew our rootedness in community. May we be blessed. Go forth and do take the time to greet one another, for it is good to be together. Amen. And the kids who helped to bring up the flowers, would you all also be willing, to take them back to the table so that people can pick up a couple of flowers on their way out? That would be wonderfully helpful. Thank you. It is, but we should officially extinguish it. Okay. Oh. Whoop. We have.
No.
It's okay. Nothing broke. We are in good shape. All right. So, though our chalice flame has extinguished itself, I do invite you to join me in saying the words that extinguish our chalice flame. So we extinguish this chalice flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you. And if you'd like to greet those who are joining us on Zoom, you can do that over at Eric's little side table there. And thank you again.
Hi, Lori. Are you still there? Hi.
More trolleys.